Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It's now past 1:05, but today's Thursday. This is Carlton Brown, and I am your personal development and life transition coach, helping professionals and individuals navigate the confusion and stress that comes with the disruption and change that comes through disruption and change as we navigate life. And in the end, we want to be in a place where we can show up, make sure that we're enjoying the moments that matter and being in the right energy and in space to create more of those moments. So today, with the time that we have, I want to take time with you and just help share some insight that I came across today. So the backstory of it, I share with my newsletter that I provide weekly. And if you're not a part of that community, you're not receiving the newsletter, please just stop by my website, carltonbrowncoaching.com, and then just subscribe to it there. But, in my newsletter, I was just sharing a moment where I was on vacation, and it's a recent vacation. I was in Europe, and we rented a car. And renting the car, one thing I didn't take into consideration was the fact that most cars that were being provided and for the place we were all manual, mostly manual were being provided. And I just assumed two things incorrectly. I assumed one, once I make this booking for this manual car and manual transmission, that surely the car rental agency will switch it out to automatic. They'll see, oh, he's a Yankee. They'll see that and they'll just switch it out. Two, I assumed that my skills that I had when it came to driving a manual transmission would, come back into play. Like literally, like it would be like falling off or getting back on a bicycle after so many years, and I would be able to see those skills and that ability of driving a manual shift after driving automatic for so many years. Just seeing that kick in, and I'll be cruising around my little island and just with the hair and the breeze and just enjoying this manual transmission car. Well, realistically and factually, I was incorrect on both cases. Like neither one of those things came true. And then that it really just brought to mind something that as people and as individuals, sometimes we can do often. And that's leaning into this concept of being an armchair quarterback, right? Like we give ourselves more credit at times, purely from a space of confidence, less from a space of experience of what our capabilities are. And the reality is when our confidence outweighs our experience, that's where you really are the definition of an armchair quarterback. And I leaned into that. Like I really leaned into it. And I convinced my wife to let me go ahead and not try to switch it out at the rental car agency. And I was, I should have known better though, because getting it out of the parking lot, was a whole issue. Getting it to our first city that we stopped was even a real endeavor on its own too. But, that was me trusting and just leaning into this concept of what's been defined as an armchair quarterback, really allowing my confidence, some of my ego and pride getting in the way. But it was just that moment of not really leaning into what I would love to share with you, which is confident humility. If I would have approached it with confident humility, it would have been a different experience, to say the least, right? But, hey, my confidence was high, but my experience truly was rusty and non-existent. And that created some funny moments for sure. So in the end, we do that. There are times where we try to project what we can do at work with the different projects. There are times that we project what we can do from a skill set when we're doing just small things, whether it's playing a game, doing sports, or doing a puzzle or trying to showcase something to someone else in any way. So there are moments where that comes into play. And it's the double-sided coin, right? So you have confidence, it's working for you, it's just you don't have the skill set and experience to support that confidence, right? But then on the other side of the coin is really, Adam Grant talked about this, is imposter syndrome. So, and I was glad that I didn't have that show up, right? Like I was glad that I didn't have that feeling, but to some extent, it may have been a little better. And so imposter syndrome, if you're not aware, it's when the opposite occurs. You have the experience. You have the experience of things that, whether it's the skill set, the ability to think through the solution of a problem, you actually have it, but you don't have the confidence to believe that you can execute on the solution that's needed or solve the problem in the way that you have believed that you could, that you really understand that you can. So you're not able to kind of convey that within yourself, like, yeah, I can tackle that. So I was glad I didn't have that. And I know there are moments, professionally where it really is, it's the armchair quarterback versus the imposter syndrome, that mindsets that we battle against at times, and they show up at different times, right? Sometimes the imposter syndrome can show up in front of a group dynamic because you're not the loudest duck in the room. But the reality is that we got to find a way to embrace kind of the strengths of both of these two types of mindsets. There's the confidence that comes with the armchair quarterback standpoint, and then there's the willingness to learn, and some of it is just slight doubt that comes with the imposter syndrome. So that's where the in-between of those two worlds, the confident humility, if you will, that's where that can shine. And I would have benefited greatly from being confident, but humble about it, right? So in the end, the beauty of just showing up with that confidence in your skill set, but the willingness to question, the truth of that, or the willingness to even entertain a opposite or a thought that's not super aligned, that's going to create the real environment for you to be able to learn, to grow, and to really just round out that skill set, tighten up exactly what you believe you are able to deliver on, but actually do what you're able to deliver on too, right? Because now you are fully aware of the gaps that may exist because you've taken other perspective. You've entertained the different questions that challenged you. You received some of the feedback, but also some of the challenge that can come with the feedback, and understanding that, hey, you may not have the full perspective, but that's the best of both worlds. It keeps you learning, it keeps you leaning forward, it keeps you looking for, answers to some of the questions that actually, are healthy for you to be really rounded in a way of thinking or in a skill set. So, as I reflect on that experience, to say the least, the reason why I smile about the confident humility is because hindsight is 20/20, of course, but between those two worlds of armchair quarterback and imposter syndrome, I still could have walked away and said, you know what, maybe this isn't the chance for me while I'm on an island. There's a different language than I am that's native to me. I'm not very versed in it. I have to navigate, driving in a country that I'm not very familiar with, the rules, the speed, all these things. But maybe it may be worthwhile to just put something in my wheelhouse that I can control and be comfortable with. And that's an automatic transmission. So, you know, something as simple as that, and being open to hearing what's being presented, to say the least, can help move you forward in certain ways, and move just you closer to really a better solution for what you're hoping to accomplish and hoping to navigate, right? So, you know, in the end, I say all that to say that, you know, when you go forward and you think about how you're going to navigate your career space, how you're going to navigate your relationships, how you're going to navigate your relationship with yourself, or just this new phase of life, right? Um, there are going to be moments where you really are confident and kind of cocky at times in what you're able to do. What can happen and what can be supportive in that moment is maybe just giving yourself a reason to doubt, just slightly, like question it, maybe entertain some questioning to see how sound your logic is on it. It's not saying that you need to take that doubt and let it reign supreme on your confidence, but it's really just being able to take that doubt and use it to really get a more solid and thorough answer to prove like, hey, this is actually what I can do. So, you know, there are going to be moments where that happens. There are going to be situations where, again, the other side, the imposter syndrome shows up. And again, it's the experience is there, but your confidence isn't. And even from that, it's still saying, I have a gut check. Do I know what I know? And if those answers are yes, absolutely, then at that point, you should be able to say exactly what you know, how you're going to get it there, how you're going to get the goal across the line, and then just do that. So, you know, that's why I think there's the beauty in being able to just entertain that. The confident humility really stands in the middle, and bolsters both sides of it. So with that, I hope you got something from that, besides my inability to drive a manual shift or transmission at this point. But I'm correcting that as well. Like I literally signed up for some lessons. So, but outside of that, hopefully, if this was helpful, and if it was, that's great. You can always find more information about me on my website at carltonbrowncoaching.com. There I will have some free resources for you. Again, you can sign up for my newsletter. Soon we're going to have more in-person events where you can come out and meet me if you're in the New York City metro area. As always, I look forward to opportunities to meet and connect. But until next time, until next week, as we start to go forward, you know, if there's anything, please reach out. But I look forward to interacting, and thank you for all the time. All right.